When you wake up in the morning, before the noise of the world reaches your ears, before the doubts and distractions begin their daily chorus, you have a moment, a sacred moment, to speak to yourself, to declare who you are and what kind of day this will be. Because if you don't tell yourself who you are, the world will, and the world often gets it wrong. So here are 9 things you must tell yourself every single day, not once a week, not when you feel good, every day. Because repetition builds belief, and belief shapes destiny. You might not see the progress in the mirror yet. You might not feel the strength in your bones yet. But every single challenge you face, every disappointment you survive, every battle you fight in silence, it's building something inside you. Strength isn't about lifting weights. It's about lifting yourself when no one else does. Tell yourself, I am becoming stronger every day, because even when life breaks you down, you're rebuilding muscle in your soul. Strength doesn't show up in a single day. It shows up every day you refuse to quit. Every morning you rise despite the weight of yesterday. You are building a version of yourself that's unshakable. Strength isn't born in comfort. It's forged in chaos. You don't grow stronger when life is easy. You grow stronger when life demands everything from you and you still show up. There are days when you feel like the world is testing you more than it tests others. Days when you ask, why me? Why does it always have to be so hard? But the truth is, strength is not handed to the chosen few. It's built through experience. Every struggle you've endured, every disappointment that made you question your worth, every tear that fell in silence, all of it was preparing you for what's coming next. You may not see it right now, but you are evolving, transforming, hardening in ways that ordinary eyes cannot see. You see, strength is not about muscles or medals. It's not about who can shout the loudest or who stands tallest in the room. Real strength is invisible. It's the silent endurance of someone who could have given up but didn't. It's the calm in a storm, the steady heart that says, I will rise again. You've been through enough to know that life doesn't hand out easy victories. You've faced loss, rejection, betrayal, yet here you are, still breathing, still fighting, still moving forward. That's strength, that's power. Every day, the world tries to test your limits. It throws obstacles your way to see how much you can take. And every time you choose to keep going, you prove something to yourself, to life, and to everyone who ever doubted you. Strength is not measured by how loud you roar when you win, but by how quietly you endure when you're losing. It's in those quiet battles no one sees, the moments when you hold your tongue instead of lashing out, when you forgive instead of seeking revenge, when you walk away instead of fighting a pointless war. You have to tell yourself every morning, I am becoming stronger every day. Because some days you won't feel strong at all. Some days you'll feel like you're barely holding on, but growth is invisible before it becomes obvious. A seed doesn't sprout overnight. It breaks, it cracks, it stretches underground in complete darkness before anyone sees its first leaf. You are that seed. What feels like breaking is actually becoming. What feels like pain is the stretching of your potential. Every challenge has a purpose. Maybe it's not there to destroy you. Maybe it's there to discipline you. Maybe that heartbreak was there to teach you how to love yourself. Maybe that loss was there to remind you that your value isn't tied to what you own. Maybe that rejection was protection, steering you towards something greater. You only realize how strong you've become when you look back at the storms that tried to drown you. The very things you thought would break you became the reason you stand tall today. Strength doesn't always feel strong. Sometimes it feels like tears streaming down your face at 3 a.m., whispering, God, help me through this. Sometimes it feels like walking through your day pretending you're okay when your heart is heavy. Sometimes it feels like silence, when you stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand you. But those moments, those small silent victories, they are proof of your strength. You're becoming someone who doesn't need to announce your resilience. You're living it. Think about how far you've come. The things that used to break you no longer touch you the same way. The situations that once made you crumble now only make you think, I've seen worse and I'm still here. That's growth, that's evolution. You're not the same person you were last year, last month, or even last week. You've learned, you've adapted, you've survived. Every scar, every wound, every disappointment, it was molding you into someone who can handle the future that's waiting for you. And let me tell you something, strength isn't about never falling, it's about never staying down. Every champion has fallen, every warrior has been wounded. What separates the weak from the strong is that the strong rise again. You might crawl, you might stumble, but you don't quit. Every time you rise, you prove to life that it cannot break you. You're not fragile, you're resilient. You were not built to shatter, you were built to overcome. There's a fire inside you that life didn't give and life can't take away. It's the part of you that refuses to die even when everything around you is falling apart. You have to remind yourself of that fire when things get dark, because it's easy to forget your strength when you're tired. It's easy to doubt your progress when you don't see immediate results. But strength doesn't always roar. It whispers, keep going. Every trial you're facing now is shaping the future you prayed for. Every struggle is conditioning your spirit. Every delay is deepening your faith. So instead of saying, oh, why is this happening to me? And start saying, yeah, this is strengthening me. Because it is. Every single moment is preparing you for the weight of your purpose. Tell yourself this until it becomes a belief, until it seeps into your bones. I am becoming stronger every day. Say it when you wake up. Say it when you feel weak. Say it when people doubt you. Say it when life feels unfair, because the strength you build today will carry you tomorrow. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that the storms didn't break you, they built you. The nights didn't destroy you, they defined you. The pain didn't end you, it introduced you to the warrior you were always meant to be. You are becoming stronger every day, even when you don't feel it, especially when you don't feel it. You can't control the storms. You can't control who stays, who leaves, or who betrays you, but you can control the way you respond. You can choose peace over panic, calm over chaos. Every time you refuse to let negativity control you, you take your power back. The world may be unpredictable, but your attitude, your mindset is your weapon. Tell yourself, no one decides my mood but me. The world is loud. It throws noise, chaos, and confusion in your path every single day. People will disappoint you. Situations will frustrate you. Things will not go as planned. But hear this, you cannot control the storm outside, only the calm within. The power isn't in changing what happens around you. It's in mastering how you respond to it. Life doesn't ask for your permission before it tests you. It doesn't knock politely before it enters your peace. It shows up uninvited with betrayal, with loss, with rejection, with struggle. You can't stop the wind from blowing, but you can decide how to set your sails. You can't control who walks out of your life, but you can decide not to crumble when they do. That's where your real power lies, not in changing the world, but in changing how you face it. Every day you have a choice. You can let the world dictate your mood, or you can decide that your peace is not up for negotiation. You can choose to carry the weight of everyone else's behavior, or you can choose to stay centered, grounded, and calm no matter what comes your way. Your attitude is your compass. It determines where you go, how far you rise, and how deeply you fall. The truth is, life will test your patience more than your strength. It will place you in situations that poke at your emotions, that try to drag you into drama, that tempt you to react instead of reflect. But the moment you start reacting to everything, you lose control of yourself. The one who can't control their emotions becomes a slave to their environment. You can't build peace if you let every small offense shake your spirit. You have to learn to breathe through chaos. When someone disrespects you, breathe. When plans fall apart, breathe. When life feels unfair, breathe. Because that breath, that pause, is power. It's the difference between peace and regret, between saying something you'll later apologize for and walking away with dignity. Every time you stay calm in chaos, you are teaching your spirit that it no longer bows to storms. You can't stop people from talking about you, judging you, or misunderstanding you, but you can stop giving them the power to define your peace. People will always have opinions. Let them. They will always find something to criticize. Ignore it. What matters is that you don't let their noise change your frequency. Your energy is sacred. Don't give it away for free to situations that don't deserve it. Attitude is not something you are born with. It's something you build daily. It's a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows through resistance. Every time you face something difficult and choose peace instead of panic, you strengthen your attitude. Every time you choose gratitude over complaint, you strengthen your attitude. Every time you decide not to match someone's negativity, you strengthen your attitude. And here's the truth: your attitude determines your altitude. It decides how high you rise and how long you stay there. You can be the most talented, the most gifted, the most intelligent person in the room, but if your attitude is wrong, opportunities will slip away. No one wants to follow someone who lets bitterness lead them. No one is inspired by someone who complains more than they create. A strong attitude commands respect without ever raising its voice. There's a reason calm people carry power. They are not controlled by emotion. They are anchored in purpose. They know that reacting to every insult, every rumor, every inconvenience only drains their energy. They've learned to smile at chaos because they understand that peace is not found in perfection. It's found in perspective. When you can look at a problem and say, "This too shall pass," you've mastered the art of emotional control. Think about it. When was the last time losing your temper made things better? When did worrying about what you can't control ever solve anything? You see, stress doesn't come from situations. It comes from your response to them. The more you try to control the uncontrollable, the more frustrated you become. But the moment you surrender what's out of your hands and focus on what's within, your choices, your effort, your attitude, you find peace again. It's not about ignoring problems, it's about not letting them own you. You might not be able to stop the rain, but you can choose to dance in it. You might not be able to stop people from betraying you, but you can refuse to become bitter because of it. Bitterness poisons your peace. Gratitude purifies it. You can't change what others do, but you can always control how you respond. That's the greatest freedom you'll ever have. Life isn't about avoiding storms. It's about learning how to walk through them without losing your calm. You'll meet people who will test your patience. You'll face delays that make you question your path. But remember this: the more life tries to shake you, the more you must stand still. The world feeds off reaction. When you stop reacting, you starve its power. Start each day with this thought: nothing and no one will steal my peace today. Carry that energy with you. When traffic slows you down, don't curse, breathe. When someone speaks negativity into your day, don't absorb it. Bless them silently and keep walking. When your plans fall apart, don't fall apart with them. Trust that something better is aligning behind the scenes. You are in control of your attitude. That means you are in control of your joy, your peace, your energy. Don't give that power away so easily. Protect it like treasure, because that's exactly what it is. A strong attitude turns obstacles into opportunities. It turns rejection into redirection. It turns pain into purpose. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control how you rise. So the next time life comes at you with its chaos, smile. Not because it's easy, but because you know who's really in charge. You are, not the storm, not the circumstance, not the person trying to get under your skin. You are. And when you can master your attitude, when you can stay calm in the fire, when you can smile through uncertainty, you've already won. Because true strength isn't about controlling the world. It's about mastering yourself. Stop begging for tables where your presence is ignored. Stop forcing connections that drain you. What's meant for you will find you, not through desperation, but through alignment. When you respect your worth, you attract people and opportunities that do the same. So tell yourself, I will not chase, I will attract, I will trust what's mine will stay. There comes a time in life when you realize that not everything you want is meant for you. Some doors stay closed not because you lack the key, but because walking through them would take you away from your purpose. Some people leave not because you weren't enough, but because they weren't meant to go where you're heading. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you find peace. You see, chasing what's not meant for you is like trying to drink from an empty cup. It looks like it should satisfy you, but it never will. You end up exhausted, drained, and disappointed because you keep trying to hold on to something that was never meant to stay. The universe doesn't reward desperation. It responds to alignment. When you chase, you're telling life, I don't trust the timing. I don't trust the plan. But when you align, you're saying, I trust that what's meant for me will never miss me. There's power in knowing when to stop chasing, power in walking away from what drains you, confuses you, or makes you feel small. You don't have to beg for love. You don't have to force respect. You don't have to run after validation. What is truly yours will recognize your worth and stay without you pleading for it. It's not arrogance, it's self-respect. It's understanding that your energy is currency and you don't spend it where it brings no return. Many people spend their lives running after things that were never meant to be theirs, relationships that drain them, jobs that kill their spirit, dreams that belong to someone else's vision. And when they lose those things, they think they failed. But losing what wasn't meant for you is not failure. It's freedom. You were never supposed to carry that weight in the first place. You were never supposed to beg for what was designed to be freely given. When you chase, you move from fear. You fear missing out. You fear being alone. You fear that if you let go, you'll never find something better. But peace begins when you learn to release what was never aligned with your destiny. You are not here to chase. You are here to attract. You are not here to beg. You are here to become. Because when you become the best version of yourself, what's meant for you will naturally find its way to you. Stop running after people who show you their absence more than their presence. Stop chasing approval from those who can't even see your value. You don't have to lower your standards to keep people in your life. You simply have to raise your faith that better connections exist. Real love doesn't need convincing. Real opportunity doesn't need constant chasing. If you have to beg for it, it's not aligned. When something is meant for you, it flows. It doesn't force. It feels natural, peaceful, and right, even in challenges. You don't lose your identity trying to keep it. But when something isn't meant for you, it feels heavy. It makes you question your worth. It takes more than it gives. And yet sometimes we chase it because we mistake comfort for destiny. We hold on to the familiar even when it hurts because it feels safe. But comfort zones are where dreams go to die. Letting go is not weakness. It's strength in its purest form. It takes courage to say, I love this, but it's not right for me. It takes maturity to say, I could stay, but I choose peace. Walking away doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to divine direction. It means trusting that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. When you stop chasing, something magical happens. You create space for clarity, space for new blessings, space for peace. As long as you're chasing what's not yours, your hands are too full to receive what is. Sometimes God closes one door because your hands are gripping the wrong handle. You're asking for new beginnings, but refusing to end the old chapter. Patience is not passive, it's powerful. It's saying, I know what I deserve, and I'm willing to wait for it. You don't have to run after your destiny. Your destiny will recognize you when you're ready. You're not being ignored. You're being prepared. You're not being denied. You're being redirected. Every delay, every rejection, every ending, it's shaping you into someone who won't settle when the right thing finally arrives. Think about how many times you wanted something so badly, and now you thank God you didn't get it. Back then, it felt like heartbreak. But now you see it was mercy, because if you had gotten what you wanted, it would have kept you small. It would have drained your energy, dulled your spirit, and distracted you from your purpose. Sometimes unanswered prayers are the greatest blessings. You must believe this. What's meant for you will always be at peace with your spirit. It won't demand you to lose yourself to keep it. It won't make you question your worth. It won't force you to chase. That's how you'll know. It feels like alignment, not anxiety. So stop running after what's not running towards you. Stop chasing people who make you feel unseen. Stop pursuing things that pull you away from who you are. Life isn't about chasing, it's about trusting. It's about believing that when you let go of what's wrong, you make room for what's right. Say this to yourself every morning. I don't chase what's not meant for me. I attract what belongs to me through peace, patience, and purpose. Let that truth sink deep into your soul, because when you finally stop chasing, you stop losing energy and start gaining everything that's meant for you. And one day, you'll look back and realize that everything that left made space for everything that truly belonged. The things you thought you needed will be nothing compared to the peace you gained by letting go. What's meant for you won't pass you by. What's not meant for you will never stay, no matter how hard you chase it. So walk with faith, move with grace, trust the timing. You don't chase what's not meant for you, because what's meant for you will find you when you're ready to receive it. When life knocks you flat on your back, you have two choices: stay down or rise stronger. The truth is, the pain is not punishment, it's preparation. The doors that closed were not rejection, they were redirection. Tell yourself, this is not the end of me. Because every great story has a chapter of struggle before the triumph. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has walked through the valley of setbacks. Every success story you admire was once a story of pain, loss, and disappointment. What separates the broken from the blessed is not what they went through, it's how they responded to it. Because life will test you, it will knock you down, it will push you to the edge until you have nothing left to give. But that's when the comeback begins, that's when the story starts to shift. When you face a setback, it feels like the world is ending. Plans fall apart, doors close, people walk away. Everything you worked for suddenly slips out of your hands, and you're left wondering, why would God let this happen? But what if that setback isn't punishment, it's positioning? What if what looks like failure is actually the foundation for your next level? You see, sometimes life has to strip you of what's temporary so it can prepare you for what's permanent. Sometimes you lose things not because you weren't ready to have them, but because they weren't built strong enough to carry you where you're meant to go. You can't build a skyscraper on weak soil. You have to dig deep before you rise high. And that's what setbacks do. They dig, they prepare, they strengthen your roots so your success doesn't collapse when the winds of life start blowing. Setbacks are not signs of weakness. They're invitations to grow stronger. Every fall teaches you something about balance. Every delay builds patience. Every disappointment teaches humility. The pain you feel is not the end, it's the lesson. The greatest comebacks in history were born from the darkest moments. You might not see it now, but this is not where your story ends. It's where it begins again. Think about it. When an arrow is pulled backward, it's not being punished. It's being prepared to fly further than before. That's you. Life might be pulling you back right now, but only to launch you into a place you couldn't have reached on your own. You may have been pushed down, but that pressure is shaping something powerful inside you. Every time you rise after falling, you're not the same person. You're wiser, tougher, more focused. You can't control what life throws at you, but you can control what you throw back. You can choose to sit in the ashes of what broke you, or you can rise and turn your pain into power. Every setback is a chance to rebuild yourself stronger. And when you come back, you won't just recover what you lost. You'll rise with more purpose, more clarity, and more strength than before. But here's the hard truth. Setbacks reveal your true character. When everything goes wrong, your heart is exposed. Do you crumble under pressure or stand taller because of it? Do you allow failure to define you or refine you? Every trial is a test, not of what you have, but of who you are. And those who pass the test are the ones who refuse to let pain make them bitter.
they let it make them better.
Sometimes your greatest blessings are disguised as your biggest disappointments. You may lose a job, but gain a vision. You may lose a person, but find your purpose. You may fall behind, but end up in the exact place you were meant to be. Life has a strange way of realigning you through loss. What seems like a step back is often a redirection towards something greater. You just have to keep walking, even when you don't understand the path. You're not stuck, you're being prepared. Every closed door, every no, every rejection, it's not the universe turning against you, it's life clearing your path. You can't move forward carrying things that don't belong in your next chapter. The setback is there to separate what's temporary from what's timeless. Don't fear the fall. Fear staying down. Every champion, every visionary, every leader you admire has been through failure. They've cried, they've doubted, they've questioned their purpose, but they didn't quit. They got up, they took the lesson, and they built again. That's what makes a comeback powerful. It's not just about rising, it's about rising with wisdom. When you understand that setbacks are setups, you stop complaining and start trusting. You stop asking, why me? And start saying that, watch me. You stop running from the fire and start realizing that it's refining you. Diamonds don't shine without pressure. Gold isn't pure without fire, and you won't rise without resistance. So if life is getting harder, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're leveling up. The most dangerous thing you can do in the middle of a setback is to give up too early, because sometimes the breakthrough is one step beyond the breakdown. You've got to hold on when it's hardest. You've got to keep believing when it looks impossible, because when your faith is tested, your destiny is being shaped. Look back for a moment. Every setback you've ever faced brought you here. You survived heartbreaks you thought would kill you. You overcame obstacles you thought you'd never move past. You got through days you thought you couldn't. And here you are, still standing, still fighting, still becoming. That means your comeback has already begun. When you rise again, you won't rise to prove them wrong. You'll rise to prove yourself right. To prove that your story isn't over just because you fell. To prove that the same God who saw your tears will one day let the world see your triumph. So the next time life knocks you down, smile and whisper to yourself, this is just a setup, because it is. The greater the setback, the greater the comeback. The deeper the valley, the higher the mountain you're about to climb. Tell yourself every morning, I'm not buried, I'm planted, because what's planted doesn't die. It grows. It pushes through the dirt, through the darkness, through everything that tried to cover it. And one day, it breaks through the surface, stronger, brighter, unshakable. That's you. You're not broken. You're being built. You're not losing. You're being lifted. You're not done. You're being developed. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. And when your comeback arrives, it will silence every doubt, every critic, and every voice that ever told you that you wouldn't make it. You don't need validation from people who don't value themselves. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't let anyone convince you that your dreams are too big or your light too bright. Remember, diamonds don't need to prove their value to stones. You were designed with purpose, crafted with intention. Tell yourself, I know who I am and I won't apologize for it. There will come a time when you realize that no matter what you do, someone will always misunderstand you, underestimate you, or fail to see your value. And that's okay, because your worth was never meant to be determined by their limited perception. It was defined long before anyone had an opinion about you. You don't need their approval to be valuable. You don't need their applause to be worthy. You just need to remember who you are when the noise fades. The truth is, people see you through the lens of their own experience. Some will see your light and be inspired by it. Others will see it and feel threatened. Some will recognize your potential and cheer for you. Others will try to dim it so they can feel taller standing next to you, but none of that changes your worth. You don't lose your value just because someone couldn't afford to recognize it. You see, gold doesn't stop being gold when it's covered in dirt. Diamonds don't lose their value because someone throws them into the mud. Their worth is intrinsic. It doesn't come from opinion, it comes from nature. The same is true for you. You were born valuable. No mistake, no rejection, no failure can take that away. You don't become worthy when someone finally appreciates you. You've been worthy all along. Too often, we let other people's words become mirrors that distort how we see ourselves. We start believing their lies more than our own truth. Someone tells you you're not good enough, and suddenly you start acting like you're not. Someone rejects you, and you start chasing validation to feel seen again. But you must learn to disconnect your identity from people's opinions, because people's opinions change like the wind, but your worth must remain steady like a mountain. When you depend on others to define your value, you hand them the keys to your peace. You let their emotions control your emotions. You let their mood control your confidence. But the moment you reclaim that power, everything changes. You stop living to impress and start living to express. You stop performing for approval and start walking in purpose. That's where freedom begins. Never forget this. People's inability to see your worth doesn't make you less valuable. It only exposes their blindness. You could be the brightest light in the room, but if someone's eyes are closed, they'll still tell you it's dark. Don't dim your shine to comfort their blindness. Keep shining anyway. The right people will notice, and the wrong ones will fade. It's human nature to want to be accepted. We all crave connection. But when your desire for acceptance starts costing you your authenticity, you've traded something sacred. You weren't created to be liked by everyone. You were created to fulfill a purpose that not everyone will understand. And that's fine. The crowd that once mocked you will one day quote you. The same people who dismissed you will one day say they always believed in you. But you have to keep your eyes on your mission. Don't let the noise of rejection drown out the sound of your own voice. Don't let the silence of others convince you that you're not doing enough. You are enough. You always have been. If you have to beg to be seen, you're in the wrong room. If you have to shrink to be accepted, you're standing with the wrong people. You deserve spaces where you don't have to prove your worth, where your presence itself is appreciated. Your worth doesn't increase when someone compliments you, and it doesn't decrease when someone criticizes you. Compliments don't define you, consistency does. Character does, integrity does. It's not about how loud they clap when you win, it's about who you are when no one's watching. You can lose everything you own and still have value, because worth doesn't live in possessions. It lives in your soul. You've got to look in the mirror and remind yourself, I am enough. Not because of what I have, not because of what people say, but because of what I carry inside me. Every scar, every mistake, every lesson, they're proof of my growth, not evidence of my failure. You're not defined by your past, you're refined by it. The mistakes that tried to destroy you have actually molded you into someone wiser, someone stronger, someone deeper. The world is full of people who will try to measure you by standards that were never meant for you. They'll try to box you into their expectations because your freedom intimidates them. But you don't owe anyone a version of yourself that fits their comfort. You were not created to blend in. You were created to stand out. There's a peace that comes when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop needing everyone to understand your journey, when you stop chasing the approval of those who were never meant to validate you. The moment you stop trying to prove your worth, you start living it. Understand this. Some people will never see your value until someone else celebrates it. That's not your problem. That's their blindness. Keep moving, keep building, keep walking in your calling, because the same ones who doubted you will one day use your name as an example of perseverance. Every time you question your worth, remember this: your breath alone is proof that you are chosen for something greater. You were not an accident. You were designed with intention. The Creator doesn't make mistakes, and that includes you. So stand tall, speak life over yourself, say it out loud. My worth is not defined by others. Say it until you believe it. Say it until the noise fades and your own voice becomes louder. Say it until rejection no longer feels like loss, but redirection. One day you'll look back and thank the people who underestimated you because their doubt pushed you to discover your own strength. Their rejection became your motivation. Their silence forced you to listen to the only voice that truly mattered, your own. So stop waiting for validation from the world. You already have it from the one who created it. You don't need to fit in when you were born to stand out. You don't need permission to be powerful. You are enough, not because they said so, but because you decided so. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the freedom to stop carrying what was never yours to hold. But remember the lesson. Every betrayal, every lie, every heartbreak taught you discernment. Tell yourself, I forgive because peace matters more than pride. But I also remember so I never walk blind again. Forgiveness, one of the hardest lessons life will ever teach you. It's not easy to let go of the things that broke you. It's not easy to release the hands that stabbed you in the back. It's not easy to stop replaying the betrayal in your mind when it left scars on your heart. But real strength isn't found in revenge, it's found in release. Forgiveness doesn't mean you were wronged any less. It means you've decided to stop carrying the poison that was killing your peace. You see, forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. The world will tell you that forgiving means weakness, that it means letting someone off the hook. But forgiveness doesn't free them, it frees you. It cuts the chain between your heart and their actions. It breaks the power that pain has over your mind. It says, you may have hurt me, but you don't control me anymore. There's nothing noble about holding on to bitterness. Anger feels powerful, but it's deceptive. It burns hot for a moment, then consumes the very soul it's trying to protect. Every time you relive what happened, you reopen the wound. You hand your peace back to the person who broke it. That's why you have to forgive. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. But let's be clear, forgiveness is not forgetfulness. Forgiving someone doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It doesn't mean inviting them back into your life with open arms. It doesn't mean ignoring the lesson that pain came to teach you. Forgiveness is saying, I release the anger, but I remember the wisdom. It's being strong enough to let go, but smart enough not to repeat the same mistake. People will hurt you, and some will never apologize. Some will never feel the weight of what they did. You'll wait for them to understand, but they won't. You'll wait for them to see your pain, but they'll stay blind. And that's okay, because forgiveness isn't about waiting for them. It's about freeing yourself. You can forgive someone without needing them to acknowledge the damage. You can close the chapter without needing their closure. Forgiveness doesn't happen in an instant. It's a process. Some days you'll feel free. Other days, the memory will sting again. But each time you choose peace over bitterness, you heal a little more. Each time you say, I forgive, you're loosening the grip that pain has over your spirit. Don't rush it. Let it unfold. Healing takes time, but peace is worth the wait. And while you forgive, don't forget what it taught you. Because pain is a powerful teacher. It teaches you who's real. It teaches you what you deserve. It teaches you that not everyone who smiles is sincere, and not everyone who leaves is a loss. Pain teaches discernment. It opens your eyes to truth you couldn't see when you were blinded by comfort. So yes, forgive, but remember the lesson so you don't repeat the test. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's wisdom. Weakness seeks revenge. Wisdom seeks release. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. Sometimes walking away is the loudest message you'll ever send. Silence is strength. Let your peace speak for you. Forgiveness doesn't mean you let people treat you the same way twice. It means you learned to love yourself enough not to stand in the same fire again. You can forgive someone for breaking your trust and still decide that they no longer have access to your life. That's not bitterness, that's boundaries. Forgiveness without boundaries is self-betrayal. Sometimes God allows betrayal not to break you, but to build your discernment, to teach you that not everyone who says, "I'm with you," is truly for you, that not every hand extended in friendship is clean. You don't need to seek revenge. Life handles that. The same way your peace multiplies when you let go, their consequences find them when they don't. You just have to step aside and let divine justice take its course. The irony is, forgiveness gives you power. The moment you forgive, you stop being a victim and become a victor. You take back control. You rise above the bitterness that used to define you. You move from pain to purpose. When you forgive, you say, "You no longer live rent-free in my mind." You start building again, smiling again, living again. That's how you win. Never forget what it taught you, though. Every heartbreak teaches you about boundaries. Every betrayal teaches you about trust. Every lie teaches you about truth. Every loss teaches you about strength. You're wiser now, not because life was kind, but because life was real. Don't regret what you've been through. It refined you. It gave you eyes that see deeper, a heart that loves stronger, and a soul that can recognize peace when it finds it. And here's the beauty of it all. When you forgive, you become untouchable. You're no longer reacting to others. You're responding from power. You're no longer carrying yesterday into today. You're lighter, freer, stronger. You walk differently when you're not burdened by bitterness. You smile differently when peace is your priority. You love differently when you've learned to heal from within. Forgiveness is for warriors, not the weak. It takes courage to say, "You hurt me, but I won't let it define me." It takes faith to say, "I trust that justice belongs to time, not to me." And it takes wisdom to say, "I forgive, but I remember what it taught me." Because if you forget the lesson, you repeat the pain. But if you remember it, you grow beyond it. You move from victimhood to victory. You evolve from bitterness to balance. You no longer see the wound. You see the wisdom it gave you. So tell yourself every day, "I forgive, but I do not forget what it taught me." Say it when the memories surface. Say it when your heart aches. Say it when you're tempted to go back to what hurt you. Forgive because your soul deserves rest. Remember because your spirit deserves protection. And one day you'll look back at the people who hurt you, not with anger, but with gratitude, because they showed you your strength. They revealed your boundaries. They taught you how to rise. Forgive not because they deserve peace, but because you do. And never forget the wisdom that pain came to give you. Gratitude turns ordinary days into blessings and challenges into growth. When you start counting what you have instead of what you lack, life multiplies your blessings. Don't wait to be happy when you reach the top. Find joy in every step of the climb. Tell yourself, "I have enough, I am enough, and more is on its way." Gratitude is not just saying thank you, it's a state of being. It's a mindset that transforms how you see the world. It doesn't mean you settle for less. It means you recognize the blessings you already stand on while reaching for more. Because here's the truth. The person who can't appreciate what they have now will never find peace, even when they get what they want later. Gratitude is the foundation that prepares you for greater things. Too many people spend their lives waiting for someday. Someday when I have more money, someday when I get that promotion, someday when I find the right person, then I'll be happy. But life doesn't work like that. If you can't find joy in the small things, you'll miss it in the big ones too. Gratitude isn't about having everything. It's about recognizing that you already have enough to begin. You may not be where you want to be yet, but thank God you're not where you used to be. That's progress. That's growth. That's grace. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present. It stops you from complaining about what you lack and helps you appreciate what you've been given. It opens your eyes to blessings you once prayed for. Think about it. There was a time you dreamed of the very things you have right now. The job you complain about was once an answered prayer. The home you take for granted was once something you hoped for. The people around you, the breath in your lungs, the strength in your spirit, these are miracles we often overlook. When you live in gratitude, you stop living in lack. You stop chasing happiness and start recognizing that happiness was with you all along. Gratitude doesn't blind you to your goals. It gives you strength to pursue them with peace instead of pressure. It says, I am thankful for where I am, even as I reach for where I'm going. It's balance, it's humility, it's power. You can want more and still be grateful. Ambition and appreciation can coexist. In fact, they must, because when ambition has no gratitude, it becomes greed. And when gratitude has no ambition, it becomes stagnation. You need both. You need to look at your life and say, oh, I'm thankful for this chapter, but I'm still writing the next one. That's how growth works. You honor the present while preparing for the future. Gratitude changes how you move through struggle. When life gets hard, gratitude reminds you that you've survived harder. When doors close, gratitude reminds you that the right ones are still ahead. When you feel lost, gratitude grounds you in the truth that you still have breath, purpose, and time. It's impossible to be miserable and grateful at the same time. One cancels the other. Gratitude is light. Negativity is shadow. Choose the light. Sometimes the secret to attracting more is simply being thankful for what you already have. The universe doesn't reward complaints. It multiplies what you appreciate. When you give thanks for small victories, you invite bigger ones. Gratitude tells life, I see the blessing. And life responds, then here's more. The one who's grateful in little will be trusted with much. But gratitude isn't always easy, especially when you're struggling. When the bills pile up, when dreams seem distant, when pain feels unbearable, it's hard to be thankful. But that's when gratitude matters most. Gratitude in comfort is emotion. Gratitude in hardship is faith. When you can thank God in the storm, it's because you trust that the rain is watering your growth. That's real gratitude, not for what you have, but for what it's teaching you. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your pain. It means acknowledging it while still choosing to see beauty. It means saying, I may not understand this season, but I'm grateful for the lessons hidden in it. Every struggle carries a blessing if you look deeply enough. The setback taught you patience. The loss taught you perspective. The silence taught you strength. Every season has purpose, even the painful ones. Take a moment each day to stop and look around. The sky you wake under, the body that carries you, the opportunities that still await, the people who love you quietly. These things are priceless, and yet we miss them while chasing something bigger, thinking fulfillment is somewhere in the distance. But fulfillment doesn't live in the future, it lives in the present. Gratitude is what brings you to it. When you wake up, say, thank you. Before you go to bed, say, thank you. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're still here, still fighting, still growing. That's something to be grateful for. When gratitude becomes your habit, miracles become your normal. You begin to notice divine timing, unexpected help, open doors, things that were always there but hidden behind frustration. Gratitude opens your eyes. You can't control everything, but you can control your focus. And when you focus on gratitude, you start living with joy instead of chasing it. The world could be falling apart, and you'll still find something to smile about. Because gratitude teaches you that joy isn't found in circumstance, it's found in perspective. There's a quiet strength in people who live in gratitude. They don't need to shout about their blessings. They radiate peace. They don't envy others. They celebrate them. They don't fear the future. They trust it. Because gratitude makes you confident that life has already given you enough to handle what's coming next. So tell yourself every morning, I am grateful for what I have while working for what I want. Say it until it becomes your way of life. Be thankful for your now while building your next. Don't let discontent blind you to blessings. You're already standing in answered prayers. Keep working hard, keep dreaming big, but never forget to pause and look around. Gratitude turns your journey into joy. It makes every step meaningful. It reminds you that you are already walking in abundance. Be grateful for what you have while working for what you want. Because gratitude is not the end of the journey, it's the fuel that carries you through it. Your journey is yours. Don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. The moment you start comparing, you start losing focus. The only competition that exists is between who you were yesterday and who you're becoming today. Tell yourself, I'm on my own race and I'm winning at my own pace. The moment you stop comparing yourself to others is the moment peace begins. We live in a world that constantly tells you to look left and right, to measure your progress against someone else's highlight reel. But comparison is a thief. It steals your joy, your confidence, and your purpose. You can't walk your path while staring at someone else's lane. You can't hear your calling while listening to their applause. You are not in competition with anyone. Life is not a race. It's a journey, and every journey has a different road, a different rhythm, a different timeline. You might be in your building season while someone else is in their harvesting season. Don't envy their fruit when you're still sowing your seed. Growth looks different for everyone. Just because it hasn't happened for you yet doesn't mean it won't. It just means your timing is different. When you compete with others, you lose focus on what truly matters, becoming the best version of yourself. Your purpose was handcrafted for you. Your gifts, your pain, your lessons, they all form a story that no one else can live. You weren't born to outshine anyone. You were born to fulfill what only you can. When you understand that, envy dies, insecurity fades, and peace takes its place. The world has conditioned you to believe that success is scarce, that there's only so much to go around, but the truth is, your success doesn't take away from anyone else's, and theirs doesn't take away from yours. There's room for everyone at the table if you're willing to build your own seat. When someone else wins, it doesn't mean you've lost. It means the universe just showed you what's possible. Comparison blinds you. It makes you forget how far you've come because you're too busy counting someone else's blessings. You scroll through social media, see their perfect life, and suddenly yours feels small. But remember, people post their victories, not their battles. They show the end result, not the sleepless nights, not the tears, not the doubt. You can't compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. That's like comparing your first chapter to their 20th. Your timeline is sacred. Every delay, every detour, every setback is part of your story. You don't need to rush because someone else got there first. Their timing doesn't define yours. Your destiny doesn't have a deadline. When you compete with others, you run someone else's race and miss the beauty of your own. But when you compete with yourself, you grow. You evolve, you improve. That's how greatness is built. Not by being better than others, but by being better than you were yesterday. When you stop competing, you start collaborating. You begin to see people not as threats, but as teachers. You celebrate their success instead of resenting it. Because when you're secure in your purpose, you understand that no one can take what's meant for you. You could put 10 people in the same field, and each one would succeed differently because each one carries something unique. You are no one's competition because no one can do it exactly like you. You see, competition comes from scarcity, but confidence comes from purpose. When you know who you are and what you carry, you stop needing to prove it. You stop chasing recognition and start walking in authenticity. You realize you're not behind. You're being prepared. Every day you wake up and choose discipline over comparison. You move closer to your destiny. The greatest victories happen in silence, not in show. The most powerful growth happens in seasons where no one's watching. You don't need to broadcast your journey to validate it. Let your work speak. Let your consistency speak. Because one day, those who doubted you will have no choice but to respect the results. The problem with competition is that it breeds comparison, and comparison breeds insecurity. But when you focus on your own path, you create peace. You start to appreciate your pace, your progress, your purpose. You stop looking at others and start looking within. You begin to ask, what can I do better today than I did yesterday? That's real success. Not outpacing others, but outgrowing the version of yourself that doubted, feared, or hesitated. Understand this. You can admire others without feeling less. You can cheer for someone's success without questioning your own. Their light doesn't dim yours. Their achievement doesn't block your blessing. The sun doesn't compete with the stars, it shines in its own time. The moon doesn't apologize for reflecting light, it waits for its season. And when it's your season, no one can stop your shine. So stay in your lane, keep your eyes forward, don't rush your process trying to match someone else's pace. You don't know what they had to sacrifice to be there. You don't know what pain they hide behind their smile. Everyone is fighting battles you can't see. Focus on your growth, your peace, your calling. When you water your own garden, it blooms in due time. And don't let anyone make you feel like you're not doing enough because your success looks different. The quiet builder, the humble worker, the person who stays faithful even when no one's watching, those are the ones who win in the end. The loudest person isn't always the most successful. Sometimes the strongest voice belongs to the one who says nothing and just keeps moving. So remind yourself every morning, I'm not competing with anyone. I'm not racing. I'm not comparing. I'm not proving. I'm improving. I'm walking my path with peace. I'm focused on progress, not perfection, because my competition isn't out there, it's in the mirror. And when you master that mindset, life stops being a race and becomes a rhythm. You move with grace instead of pressure. You build with faith instead of fear. You celebrate others, but you never forget your own worth. You're not in competition with anyone. You're in alignment with your purpose. And when you walk in alignment, there's no need to chase. You just rise. There will be days when you question everything, when the waiting feels unbearable and the silence feels like rejection. But what if this season is not punishment, it's protection? What if you're not being delayed, but being developed? Tell yourself, I trust the process. I trust the timing. I trust that every closed door is leading me to something better. Patience is one of the hardest virtues to master because it tests your faith in silence. It's easy to believe when everything is happening the way you planned, but it's in the waiting, the quiet, uncertain, invisible seasons that your trust is truly tested. You see, when doors don't open, when prayers go unanswered, when life feels still and you're wondering, why not me? Why not now? That's not delay, that's divine preparation. God's timing is never late, it's perfect. You are not behind, you are not forgotten. You are right where you need to be. We live in a world that glorifies speed. Everyone wants instant results, instant success, instant recognition, instant breakthrough. But what's built fast often falls faster. God doesn't rush your process because He's building something that lasts. You might be in a waiting season, but that doesn't mean it's wasted. Waiting seasons are working seasons. They're when your faith deepens, your patience grows, and your character is forged. Sometimes God will slow you down because He knows that moving too fast would destroy you. You think you're ready for what you're praying for, but He knows what you can handle. He's not denying you, He's developing you. Because blessings given before preparation can become burdens, and the same success you're praying for could crush you if your spirit isn't ready to carry it. So when God says wait, it's not rejection, it's protection. You may not see it right now, but every delay has a reason. That closed door saved you from a disaster. That detour redirected you to purpose. That heartbreak freed you for healing. Every time you think you've been denied, heaven is whispering, trust me, I'm aligning things behind the scenes. The hand of God works in silence. You might not see the movement, but something is shifting. What's meant for you is already written. You just have to walk through the chapters in order. We often think we're running late in life because we compare our journey to others. We see someone getting married, buying a house, starting a business, and we start believing we're falling behind. But life isn't a race, it's a divine arrangement. You're not supposed to bloom when someone else does. You're supposed to bloom when it's your season. The flower that blossoms in winter will die in the cold, but the one that blooms in spring will flourish in full color. God knows your season. Trust that. God's timing doesn't just prepare the blessing, it prepares you. It teaches you patience, humility, gratitude, and strength. It reveals who you are when things aren't working in your favor. Waiting exposes your heart. It shows whether you trust God's hand or only His gifts. Anybody can trust when things are going well, but true faith says, even when I don't see it, I still believe. You are not stuck. You're being stationed. You're not delayed. You're being developed. Every moment of silence, every unanswered prayer, every closed door, it's training. Training for what you asked for. Because when the moment comes, you won't just step into the blessing. You'll be strong enough to sustain it. Don't curse the waiting season. Learn from it. Because one day you'll look back and realize it was the most important chapter of your story. It's where you built endurance. It's where you learned faith. It's where you stopped begging for timing and started trusting God's process. Sometimes what feels like nothing is actually everything being aligned in your favor. When God works, He works in layers. He's not just preparing your future, He's preparing the people connected to it. He's aligning hearts, opportunities, and timing. The reason it hasn't happened yet is because every piece of the puzzle has to fit perfectly. You can't rush that kind of precision. You wouldn't want it too early. You wouldn't want it incomplete. So trust that divine delay is divine design. Remember this: what's meant for you will never miss you. It might be delayed, but it won't be denied. It might take longer than you expected, but when it arrives, it will make sense why it took so long. God doesn't make mistakes. He makes masterpieces, and masterpieces take time. So instead of asking, when will it happen, start saying, thank you that it's happening exactly when it's supposed to. Because when you shift from impatience to gratitude, your spirit changes. You stop fighting time and start flowing with it. You stop doubting and start believing, and that's when peace enters your life. Faith isn't believing God can, it's believing He will and trusting His when. Every day you wake up, remind yourself, I'm not late, I'm not lost, I'm in alignment. You're in the exact place where growth is happening. You're in the exact season that's shaping your destiny. And when your moment finally comes, and it will, it'll happen so smoothly, so naturally, that you'll realize God had it all under control from the start. The same people who doubted you will say, how did it happen? And you'll smile and say, in God's time. Because the blessing that comes in His time will last longer, shine brighter, and fit better than anything you tried to force in your own. So don't rush the process. Don't compare your timeline. Don't question the plan. Just keep walking, keep working, keep believing. You're not being delayed, you're being directed. You're not behind, you're being built. Tell yourself this every day: God's timing is perfect, and I'm right where I need to be. Even when it doesn't look like progress, even when it feels like nothing's moving, hold that truth in your heart. Because when you trust God's timing, you live with peace. You stop chasing outcomes and start enjoying the journey. And one day, when everything unfolds, you'll realize that every waiting season, every delay, every unanswered prayer, it all led you here. Not a step late, not a second early, perfectly on time. Because God's timing is perfect, and you right now are exactly where you're meant to be. Every morning, before the noise of the world finds its way into your mind, you have a moment, a sacred moment to speak to yourself. That conversation, the one between your heart and your spirit, determines how you'll face the day. And the truth is, the most important voice you'll ever hear is your own. Because the words you speak to yourself become the beliefs you live by, and the beliefs you live by become the reality you create. You've got to remind yourself every single day of who you are and what you're capable of. You've got to wake up and declare, I'm becoming stronger every day, because life will test you. It will try to convince you that you're not enough, that you've fallen too far, that you've failed too many times, but you are not defined by the fall. You are defined by your rise. Every challenge that tried to break you was secretly building you. You are stronger than you think. And the proof is that you're still here. You've got to hold your peace like it's sacred. I am in control of my attitude, not the world around me. That's not just a statement, it's power, because the world doesn't get to decide your mood. You do. You can't control people, but you can control your response. You can't stop storms from coming, but you can choose how you stand in the rain. And that choice, that attitude, changes everything. And then there's that truth that sets you free. I don't chase what's not meant for me. The more you force what doesn't fit, the more you delay what's destined. You don't have to beg for what's already yours. What's meant for you will recognize you when you're ready. Let go of what drains you, and you'll make space for what's divine. Remember, every setback is a setup for a comeback. You might be in a valley now, but that doesn't mean the mountain isn't coming. Life pulls you back to launch you forward. Every loss, every delay, every disappointment, it's positioning you for a greater return. Don't quit in the middle of the process. Your comeback story is already being written. And through it all, don't let anyone define your worth. My worth is not defined by others. You don't need validation from people who don't understand your value. You were created with purpose. Whether they see it or not doesn't change what you carry inside you. The loudest opinion in your life should always be your own. When you walk through betrayal, when you face heartbreak, remind yourself, I forgive, but I do not forget what it taught me. Because forgiveness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You release the pain, but you keep the lesson. Every wound becomes a warning. Every scar becomes strength. Forgive so you can move forward, but remember so you don't walk back into the same fire. Stay grateful. I am grateful for what I have while working for what I want. Gratitude turns struggle into strength and delay into divine design. It keeps your heart soft when life gets hard. It reminds you that what you have right now is already a blessing. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop dreaming. It means you stop complaining while you wait for the dream to unfold. Keep your focus straight. I'm not competing with anyone because competition steals joy and comparison kills purpose. Your journey is yours. Your timing is yours. Your victories are yours. The only person you should be trying to outgrow is the person you were yesterday. You're not behind. You're becoming. And finally, breathe this truth into your soul. God's timing is perfect, and I'm right where I need to be. You don't have to rush destiny. What's meant for you won't miss you. Every delay is divine. Every detour is direction. God's plan might not move at your pace, but it always lands on time. The waiting isn't wasted, it's preparation. When you put all of this together, something powerful happens. You stop reacting and you start rising. You stop doubting and you start believing. You stop looking around and you start looking within. You begin to understand that life isn't about what happens to you. It's about what happens through you. So the next time you wake up and stare into the mirror, remind yourself of this truth. You are growing. You are learning. You are healing. You are exactly where you need to be. Speak life into your day. Speak strength into your soul. Speak faith into your future. Because the person you talk to most is yourself. And that voice can either build you or break you. So build, speak power, speak peace, speak purpose. Because when your inner dialogue changes, your entire life changes with it. And that's the secret. Your greatest battle is within, but so is your greatest victory.